closer than close, but close doesn't count. What's the amount? Never apply pressure for clout. I'ma bounce. Never accept doubt. Watch your mouth. Don't get it twisted forever with it. Proceed with the proper precision. I'll dare you to share my vision. Leaving room for you to choose. Never abuse your just due to make a decision. But look here, I'm trying to see what's happening. What's shaking, baby, what's popping, what's cracking. Stop the acting. I'm knowing you action.
Yo, what's cracking? What's popping? What's shaking? What's happening? All that. What's going on? Hopefully all is well with you thus far in your day. But I wanted to share some convo with you real quick, if you had the time, because I got the time. But let's talk about decisions, you know what I'm saying? And the importance of indecision, you know what I'm saying? It's very important to be decisive in anything you do, you know what I'm saying? With whatever you decide to do, put your effort and energy into it accordingly because you decided to do it, So let's talk about the importance of. Let's start by saying this first. Would you agree that there's a difference between being decisive and indecisive? Let's just start right there. Let's keep it basic, So if you agree with that, let's go to the next step and think about why do you believe some people are indecisive? And there might be different reasons as to why, but I feel like it all boils down to, lack of trust in yourself, lack of trust in the steps necessary to take to proceed accordingly, however you decide to proceed, But being decisive is important, you feel me? And if you realize that you're an indecisive person, you should seek to be around people who are decisive. It's very important for you to develop your decision-making skills, Because I'm of the belief that playing the fence is a no-no. Like, I can't trust a person that plays the fence and is indecisive on what side to choose. Whatever each side represents, or for whatever reason, either side is not, together in the middle, But to play the middle and you're a part of an environment where sides have to be decided, that right there makes you almost like, I don't know, what's the word? Flip-flopper, double agent, You're playing the fence. You see? Like Humpty Dumpty. You know what I'm saying? Sat on the wall. And you know the rest, you know what I'm saying? That's all it takes for that fence to shake and you'll fall either way, So I can't trust a person that's subject to swaying that way. And with me personally, everything is black and white anyway. So I'm very decisive, you know what I'm saying? I might be wrong in my decisions at times, as we all are, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna stand on what I decide. And I feel like that should be the way of everyone, you know what I'm saying? It's also important too, when it comes to making a decision, in my opinion, understanding what you're deciding on is important too. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been pressed and pressured to make a decision before you had a full understanding as to, all that's gonna come with busting that move or doing whatever needed to be done? Have you ever been in a situation like that? I feel like it's nothing worse because uncertainty makes it hard for you to decide. You know what I'm saying? It makes it hard if you're not sure how to proceed and you want to proceed for benefit, for upward mobility, but you don't have a full understanding of all the factors involved. And at times you never will, But in situations where somebody does have the understanding to give you, but they withhold it, and then they're telling you, yo, you gotta bust a move, what you finna do? You're like, man, damn, I'm working on scraps, bro. Like, what you want me to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need more than this to bust a move. So actually, you know what I'm saying? It's almost similar to a situation like if somebody's coming at you, you know what I'm saying? Like you're walking and they're walking opposite of you, and then that part where you meet, and then you go to one side, they go to that same side, you go to the next side, they go to that same side. But in that case, somebody needs to decide to remain still, you know what I'm saying? For the sake of proceeding, And in cases like that, you know what I'm saying? It's best not to bust a move until you have more details, till you better understand the situation you're forced to decide in. You know what I'm saying? Or choosing to decide in. Either way. Because also, when it comes to gaining the understanding, get enough understanding to make a decision. Because information overload could make you an indecisive person too, Just like they say, many options will make you an indecisive person. But you need just enough options to decide upon, you feel me, so you can bust your move for the sake of progression. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes abundance can be a terrible thing. You see? It leads to what's that word? Um, Decadence, I guess. You know what I'm saying? It's like overload. But options in moderation is a perfect thing because you have an option to decide this way or that way. You know what I'm saying? But either way, the choice is yours. You see? So I say that to say, when it comes to being decisive, making a decision, gather enough understanding, you know what I'm saying, for the sake of proceeding. You feel me? That's your best bet. And then at times, deciding to remain still might allow you to gain what's necessary to proceed. You know what I'm saying? But also decide not to remain stationary and stagnant for too long. For those times where you are sitting still to get a better understanding. You feel me? So again, I'm gonna always be an advocate for pro-choice. The choice is yours. You do whatever. You know what I'm saying? But have faith in you to stand and step on whatever you do choose, whatever you do decide. You know? Because who could really fault a decisive person if they make the wrong move? At least they made a decision. At least their downfall didn't come because of lack of movement, you know what I'm saying, or lack of doing something. And I feel like at times, when it comes to the decisive person, the harshest critic is the person that's indecisive. You see what I'm saying? That's the more critical because they don't have the burden of deciding. You feel me? So they're in a comfortable position to where they could point out the decisive one. And in the times where the decisive person is wrong and makes the wrong move, the indecisive person has the opportunity to just throw all the dirt imaginable, all the salt imaginable, you know, because they don't have that urgency to decide. And I feel like it comes down to that too. You have to have a fire to want to make a decision for either your personal development or growth, your family's development or growth, your tribe's development or growth, you know what I'm saying? Your nation's development or growth. You have to have that fire to want to decide on behalf of. Again, starting with you, whatever you decide, you know what I'm saying? For you, to maintain you. Because I really believe you can't help anybody if you're not maintained. You feel me? If you're not holding down you, just like somebody trying to give you advice on how to live, you know what I'm saying? And they like got the worst living situation. You feel me? Nothing against anybody that's down bad right now. It's a tough time for everybody. But just like, so I could paint this picture to you, you know what I'm saying? Somebody trying to give you advice on how not to do da-da-da-da-da, but they're doing da-da-da-da-da. You feel me? On some hypocrite kind of thing. You get what I'm saying? So, again, that's why it's important when it comes to decision making. You feel what I'm saying? Make sure you have the faith in you to make a decision on behalf of you, and then therefore you can manifest that decisiveness amongst those who you love and care for and are accountable to and accountable for. You see what I'm saying? Who you decide to be responsible for. Because right now, especially in a time like this, being decisive is very important. This is no time to play the fence. You feel me? It's no time to play the fence. I'm not talking about in your personal, everyday, you know what I'm saying, back and forth amongst those in your particular community or people you live around. I'm talking about in society, within this current regime, you know what I'm saying? The way things are established now. Indecision could lead to your ruin. Do you feel me? Not being decisive on your outlook could lead to your downfall. And we're seeing it happen to many. Sometimes it's out of people's control too, because sometimes you have to make a split-second decision. And the lack of that split-second decision could be your end day, you know? Especially now. Especially now. That's why when it comes to those who were fighting the fight that we're fighting now, on a different level, of course, and in a different way, but nonetheless fighting the same fight, because all they did was repackage it. It's the same old atrocities, you know what I'm saying? They just repackaged it and made it more modern, you feel me? But those who are fighting the same fight we're fighting now, we can't be so critical about the decisions that they made, in all sincerity, believing that those steps were going to progress those of us who were coming after them, you know? Anybody that makes a decision with sincerity of heart, you know what I'm saying? Now, you will be able to tell by the pattern of the actions of the person, also by the verbs, you know what I'm saying, what they say. Because, because a person, because a person that is being decisive to be a detriment, because you can also decide to go against the grain as well. And we'll touch on that later. But if you're deciding in insincerity, you know what I'm saying? You're decisive in that manner. Your patterns are going to show by the moves you make, and then also what you let come out your mouth. Because you can only pretend but for so long, you know? You can only pretend but for so long. But what you do in the dark, in your darkest moments, you know what I'm saying? When you're alone in obscurity, will come to the light. It'll be shown. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say, even those who, back then and even now, who are decisive, until we understand the intentions behind what they're doing, what they're deciding on, you know, let's reserve judgment, because at least they're deciding. Now, if we see it's an obvious detriment, whether to our morale, you know, whether adult or child, you know what I'm saying? If in society we see that their movements or the way they proceed or decide is a detriment, you see what I'm saying? If it's apparent detriment, you know what I'm saying? Or detrimentally apparent, you know what I'm saying? That's different. We can now be like, yo, you're not for us. You're not speaking on behalf of us. All that. We could do all that. We can decide to do so. But until we know the motives or intentions behind somebody's actions, which will be shown in time, let's reserve judgment. Even when we study those that were before us, you know, because everybody's method might have been different. But I feel as though, sincerely, people's hearts were in the right place. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand, they weren't going against a faceless entity. They were going against people who were in control of resources, like human beings. So they had, you know, opposition. So you're not going to make the right move in war all the time. But to be extra critical of those who did what they did, on whichever side of the fence they were on. If you're a person that's more prone to, you know, getting active as far as physically and all that, don't look down on somebody like a Dr. King, just being general, of course. There's other people I could put in that slot, but just for the sake of being general so everybody could feel me, you know? If you're more prone to get active and you like, man, I'm not taking that, you know, don't look down on what bro was doing. That King was doing, because he felt that was necessary to do what was necessary to raise. And then on the flip side, if you're more prone to be peaceable, you know what I'm saying, turn the other cheek, you're a Christian man or woman, don't be so critical of a brother like Malcolm, who observed society and from his perspective believes in all sincerity that that was the concept or principles to pick up, to raise up, you know what I'm saying? But either way, because if we let them tell the story of those who were before us, you know, they're going to paint them in a way, in a poisonous way, that makes us reject the artwork that they're painting to us. Do you feel me? Like the story that they pass down, give to us, is going to be so tainted, you know what I'm saying, and sprinkled with poison, that you're not going to want to accept the deeds that were done by those before us. But you can decide to believe or decide to have faith in their pure intentions, you know what I'm saying, and what they were trying to bring across and make happen. And if you decide to do that, it doesn't matter what anybody else say about this person, that person, or this person, you know? And I'm talking about past and now. That goes for people now. Now, again, you could probably throw out a name and be like, yeah, he did sell out a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? He been buck dancing for a while. He is, you know, okay, that's apparent. That person is being detrimental, apparently. So you could decide not to abide by what they putting down. You know what I'm saying? You could decide not to follow their example. Cool. They're out the equation. You feel me? When it comes to those whose moves you don't agree with, respect the decision making. Respect being decisive. Because especially in times like these, it's hard to be decisive, man. I'm telling you, especially when there's uncertainty involved in the equation. when you don't have all the facts, you feel me? You're not privy to a few, you know what I'm saying, hidden areas within the path that you're trying to proceed down. It's very tough, you know what I'm saying, to be decisive. I don't know how many of you, whoever's watching, whoever's looking at this right now, I'm not sure whether you've been around a situation where there was a threat, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be specific in what the threat might have been, you know what I'm saying? But just think back to a time, if you have been in a moment like this, where there was a threat, impending danger in your vicinity, you got to bust a move. You got to think fast. You know what I'm saying? And if you think long, you think wrong. You got to bust a move. Think about, even those of us who are decisive, think about the pressure of busting that move and having to bust the right move to make it out with either your life, all your limbs intact, you feel me? Your consciousness, whatever the case. You see what I'm saying? To make it out unscathed. Now you apply that to a consistent pattern of being decisive. When it comes to moving upward, if you're seeking to elevate, there are going to be obstacles in your attempt to elevate. You have to decide, you know what I'm saying, how to maneuver around those obstacles. So every step of the way, there's a decision to make. It don't stop. It will not quit. If you're seeking to raise up, as long as you're breathing, you should seek to raise higher than your current position. That being said, you're going to have to make some decisions. You're going to have to choose some things, you feel me? And you got to stand on your decisions. Because there's nothing worse than somebody choosing to do something, or saying and deciding on something and being decisive. And then when the consequences, you know what I'm saying? Or even sometimes the rewards come from that decision, you know what I'm saying? It alters their verbiage. It alters their perception. It alters things, you know? And then therefore, they don't stand on what they proceeded toward, you know? What they decided on. Like, for example, if somebody be like, hey, right now, you know what I'm saying? Let's go down to Orlando or something, you know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, you feel me? We gotta go over here and grab this car from old girl, right? So if I decide at that point, yeah, okay. But the thing about it is, you see what I'm saying? You feel me? She ain't at the crib. She don't know I'm finna grab the car, but I know where the keys at. Again, if I decide and be like, all right, cool, I do want to go to Orlando, let's do it. You feel me? Now, if I proceed in that activity, we do that, you know what I'm saying? He grab the keys, we get in the car, you feel me? If I decide to get in the car, boom, we ride to Orlando, you feel me? Some kind of way, the police get behind us, pull us over, right? Because I decided to get in the car, it's not now time for me to be like, man, you finna get me in trouble, man. I'm about to, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to tell him this ain't even my situation. It ain't time to do that because you decided to put yourself in that situation. That was a decision that you made. So you have to stand on that. You feel me? If you call yourself a man or a woman, if you believe yourself to be so, that's not the time to try to push blame away because of the decision that you made. You got to stand on it. No matter what, because you could be wrong. We all could be wrong at times. We all will be wrong at times. You know? But, again, be willing to accept all that comes with the decision that you make. Whatever decision that may be. Because life is about decisions, bro. It's not going to quit. Shorty, let me tell you, life do not stop throwing you situations where you got to decide. It does not stop until your dying day. You see what I'm saying? We could talk about that too, but not at this moment, you know what I'm saying? I want to stay on topic about being decisive, but I believe you might still have to make decisions after you leave the flesh. You feel me? But we gonna talk about while we here in the physical form, you know, thank God you're still breathing, you know what I'm saying? That's a blessing in this day right here, you know, but I'm talking about decisions. Do not quit. You're never gonna not make a decision as long as you're breathing. If you're responsible for you. And especially if you're responsible for others, you know? But just speaking on a personal level, you know, you're gonna always have to make a decision So why not choose, to have faith in you, be decisive? And I know it's easier said than done too, believe me. Because again, there might be some things you're not privy to, and then you have to make a decision based on a lack of information or understanding. Even then, if you bump your head, it's a setback. You feel me? Pick up all you could pick up in that process. You feel me? And then it won't really be a setback because you learned something. Now you got more information to understand it. You know what I'm saying? The knowledge than you had prior to busting that move and making that decision. Because you're not gonna do everything right. I'm not gonna do everything right. You feel me? But that's the beauty of life. Because again, as long as you're breathing, there's another day after this one until it's over. But until that day, whatever happens today, whatever time you lay down, lay your head down on your bed or on the couch or wherever you lay down at, once you come back to consciousness, now it's another day to bust another move. You feel me? So the decision yesterday, depending on the consequences, now the consequences of the after effect, you might still have to deal with, and then there comes more decisions. Now you have to decide how to deal with the consequences. But again, when you wake up, more decisions have to be made, but life goes on. Is the point I'm trying to make. Beauty, that's the beauty of it. Whatever you do, because this is temporary. Everything here is temporary. Not to be that guy, but in all honesty, you feel me? So why not leave it all on the table? Live every day the best way you know how. Decide to live every day like it's the best day, Taking all that comes with it, setbacks, you know what I'm saying? The salty people that's been seasoned by life in a way that you can't really get with, you can't really digest. You know what I'm saying? You still gotta decide all through, you know what I'm saying? Society's BS they put on you, you feel me? And gossiping and people talking through the grapevine and all this kind of stuff, fake news, still. You know what I'm saying? Life goes on, whether good decision or bad decision. So decide. And again, pick a side, man. Do not be a kind of person that play both sides and play the fence, because what you're gonna end up doing is making enemies out of both parties on both sides. That's what you're gonna end up doing. And you don't wanna do that because you're a peaceful person. That's why you're playing the fence, But you'll get more respect, especially, we're not gonna talk like that. I was gonna get on some war tactic kind of thing. We're not gonna talk like that. Just for the sake, you know what I'm saying? As being an upstanding human being, man or woman. You know what I'm saying? A person of principles, which is that's what's desperately needed among us today. It's people that's standing on something, that's decisive in what they standing on, instead of wanting to jump into everybody mix, just to get, be peaceful to get along. Go along to get along. However that saying go, don't be that kind of dude, man. Don't be that kind of woman. Pick a side. And if there's a disagreement that comes from that side that you decide, it's all good. Because you know what? You're not going to agree with everybody, just like everybody's not going to agree with you. Does that make you less of a human being because somebody doesn't agree with you? And vice versa, does that make them less of a human being because you don't agree with them? No. I always say, though, if you understand each other, the disagreement in time, somebody might begin to agree. But if there's an understanding on what you disagree with, it's cool to have that disagreement. That shouldn't be the end of us connecting and, being humane with each other and showing love between each other. I'm going to still have nothing but love for you, man, even if there's a disagreement. Because, again, life goes on. Life goes on. Now, if you pull a slouch move, if you do something crummy that actually is a detriment to me proceeding in life, that's a different story. That's a whole different story. But I'm talking about disagreements conversationally, outlooks, perspectives. Bruh, life goes on. Look, neither one of us is a lesser human being because we don't agree. Cool. And really, to be honest, my philosophy is it ain't none of my business anyway. Especially if we fret new acquaintances. Now, when it comes to people that you're building with, again, disagreements isn't a bad thing as long as there's understanding. But you have to decide and be decisive in that understanding. Meaning, you know, in the process of building, there has to be a foundation. You know what I'm saying? The foundation sets the tone for how the building is built and how strong the building stands. You know what I'm saying? If it's well founded. That's understanding. You feel me? The foundation. And I'm gonna let your imagination fill in the blanks because I don't want to get too detailed on the YouTube. But that's what I mean by that, just in case I need to put some paint, you know what I'm saying, on the blank canvas. You feel me? That's what I'm talking about. As long as there's a foundation, the disagreement is a part of the building. You know what I'm saying? Part of that union. It's gonna come. And again, if you're open-minded, if you decide to be an open-minded person, there's nothing wrong with, in time, beginning to agree with what you disagree with before. As long as your understanding don't change. And I hope I ain't lose you by saying that, but if you feel me, you feel me. You know what I'm saying. To those who don't, you know what I'm saying? Be willing to come to an understanding. That's the last thing I'm gonna say about that. And I'm gonna keep, because I do want to share this about, you know what I'm saying, being decisive, you know? Because when it comes to indecision and having too many options, I feel like most of us feel as though life is great when you have more options, you know, naturally. As well you should, because if your amount of options is too limited, then there's no room for growth. So I get equating more options to a better life, you know what I'm saying? But too many options leaves you indecisive. You feel me? And then also, that's more opportunity for you to get off track. Do you feel me? So that being said, you know, when it comes to the options, if you can keep your options at a level or an amount that is conducive to you proceeding, you know what I'm saying? Options is a great thing. Options is a great thing. I don't know how many of y'all, this is the best way I could put it. And I know this is probably gonna be a terrible example, but I feel like you'll feel me if I put it to you like this. Picture you going down the main strip in whatever city you in, right? And whoever you with got a taste for fast food, right? And down the strip, it ain't nothing but fast food spots down the strip. Expect, like some of the women I've known, if it's a woman that's indecisive, bro, you feel what I'm saying? All those options, even if she's decisive, let's say this person, he or she is decisive. You feel what I'm saying? Having that many options, it's gonna be harder for them to decide what they want. Keep it real. Whether indecisive or decisive, because of the abundance of options. Now, if it was just a damn, you know what I'm saying, a Wendy's and a damn Burger King or something, you feel me? And she gotta decide, or he gotta decide between those two. You might be pulling into one of the drive-thrus pretty soon and getting back on the freeway. Do you feel what I'm saying? But the whole strip was just fast food, and that's what this person eats. I don't eat fast food no more. Nothing against anybody that does, but it just don't be sitting well in my stomach no more. You know what I'm saying? I just can't eat it because my stomach be like, blah, 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 and I gotta let that thing, you know? Like, again, you know, so that's the best way I could paint that to you. That's the pitfall of too many options. And again, if you're looking for that many options, that means that you don't want to be decisive, because every option presented to you should be first for your benefit and not a detriment to those who you're accountable for. You know what I'm saying? Or accountable to, or consider yourself a part of. You feel me? That should be the reasons for options. You should not want to hoard a bunch of options. You feel me? What are the options there for? For you to say, yeah, I got options? Okay, how's those options working for you though? How are those options working for the greater good, for the process? Are those options a part of the vision? You feel me? Are they conducive to the task at hand being completed? You feel me? Like, what's the point? Again, that could be the same with too much information. That's how they get us with the educational system. They feed us a bunch of nonsense. You feel me? When you get out in life, it'd be hard to decide what you want to do. Information overload. You've been trained to, they train us in school in the educational system to memorize, regurgitate. After from kindergarten up to 12th grade, you've been doing that. You're expected to go out into the world and function like a human being and not a robot? Information overload. Too much information, do you feel me, can lead to indecisiveness. You should seek to want to be decisive in all things you do and stand on that decision. Do you feel me? That should be the goal. So yeah, I just had to let you know that. I wanted to share that with you real quick. Hope your night, your day goes great, you feel me? Blessings to you. Stay up and be decisive, you feel me? Be decisive. Yeah.
It's like pressure bust pipes, but it's just right for shining diamonds. I'd be lying if I didn't mention my apprehension. I gotta proceed despite slight animosity. These sling even after taken from me. I helped them achieve, shake hatred, facing complications with bitches that's hella basic. Outdated love leads to shoulder shrugs, and then when it does go down, not advocating slinging slugs, but if you didn't know, you know now. It's wild how the obvious be the hardest to figure out.